How sad it is to see something you know is soon to burn. These beautiful, if not dour hills, half tamed to provide for those who live here. Farmland muddied and crushed under the footfall of walking tanks, weapons that now stalk these hills in search of their comrades. But noble team here are soon to learn that they aren't the only things that lurk between the rocks of this lonely range. Welcome to Oddities. Here we take a look at some of my favourite details, moments and minutiae in games. So grab yourself a tea or a coffee and sit back as we explore together. Today we're here in Winter Contingency, Halo Reach's first playable level, having a poke around for some missing UNSC troops. There's a bit of discordance in the air, we being a new member of this team who have bonded in battle, a new gear jammed into a well-oiled machine. We find ourselves at the top of this bluff, peering down at some structures, one burning off in the distance. It looks like whoever worked this land was growing cabbages and other assorted veg. We can see daisies, or some alien equivalent, growing nearby. It appears the farmer hasn't weeded in a while. It's raining, so perhaps these flowers are quick to sprout. We know from later context that the farmers have either perished or are among those who have been hiding during the night. I never really thought about the fact that we're growing vegetables on an alien planet. It's hard to say whether these are native to Reach or brought with the colonists from Earth. The skill one would need to grow in extraterrestrial dirt is quite a thing to consider. I haven't delved much into the deeper lore of Halo, so let me know if this ever comes up in the books or other extended media. I'm curious whether humanity terraforms these lands or if we kind of bend to the whims of the planet. Moving onward, we reach this destroyed warthog. While Noble Team are conducting their investigation, we can take a look around. Inside, we find a bunch of water barrels, likely for farm work, perhaps keeping sprinklers filled on warmer days. This being the frontier, I'd imagine there isn't any underground waterworks yet, and the farmers must rely on above-ground apparatuses to store and transport water. Next to them, behind this chain link, we have some turbines, which looks like they're powered by these fuel tanks here. We can also find mulch on these pallets, so it can be assumed that the earth around here is quite cold and dry. The rain mustn't pierce very deep. It's unclear what would be in these wooden barrels, maybe something that doesn't react well to being kept in plastic. If we jump into the rafters, we can find this big old rock sticking through the roof. Maybe it fell from the cliffside and struck the building, or maybe I'm just not supposed to be up here. I love that you can hear the rain bouncing off the tin roof. It gives such a sense of place and immersion. That sound has always given me such a strange mix of calm and foreboding, perfect for this particular mission. Outside we have some silos. Maybe this is where they keep grain. At this gate we find a cattle grid, so I guess the farmers also raised animals. These are designed so people or vehicles can pass over, but anything with hooves will have a bad time trying to cross. We have some more, what I guess are silos. There's fans on the side, so there's probably grain within that needs to be kept dry and cool. This balcony affords us a lovely view of the valley and these wind turbines below. It's a good place to put them, right on the side of this cliff. They actually seem to be spinning quite consistently with how fast the fog is moving towards us. I wonder if an environment artist spent hours trying to get that just right. There's a bit of damage just nearby the balcony. I wonder if the Covenant did this, or if it eroded. I can't imagine this place is completely up to code. There's damage on the other side too. Carter says it's a house, but it looks more to me like a common area for the farmers. There's chairs and tables, as well as a fireplace here. You can imagine people laughing, drinking, and singing into the night after a hard day's work in the fields. The flaming rooftop kind of confirms that the previous damage we observed was from the attack. It's not too bad though, so I'm assuming this was stray plasma fire. I'm sure if the Covenant really wanted this place gone, it wouldn't be standing. The fact that this bridge is road kind of illustrates the future plans for this settlement. I'm sure they soon would have laid more tarmac to ease the coming and going between the farms and dwellings, maybe forming an interconnected road network between all these cliffside villages. I'm sure it could have been a bustling town in its own right, had it the opportunity. Here we find some troopers, post-interrogation. I like that you can see hoofprints on the ground, indicating exactly who was responsible. Beyond the grisly scene, we have these garden beds, and we can actually see some of the irrigation that keeps them growing. These pipes actually do run underground, so we can assume this building has been here longer than the one we first visited. Over here we can see a drain pipe catching the runoff from the lip of the roof, which I think is just an awesome detail. I wonder what these are. Safes? Information banks? It's hard to say how secure this place was, now there's a big hole blasted in the wall. There's an even bigger one over here. Payroll, maybe? Look at this drain pipe on the floor here. It makes sense considering this staircase is concrete. Perhaps they recycle the water to pump into the irrigation. We find some hay bales here, but I don't think we see a place to grow it anywhere. Maybe these are imported from neighbouring farms to help feed livestock. And of course, the dam. This could probably power most of the settlement itself, so I wonder if they bank the power from both this and the wind turbines. Let's hop in our trusty ute, and from here the mission opens up a bit. There's a few different paths we can take. Let's peek at this shed first, with the weird texture on the ground. This was probably to keep produce or firewood out of the rain. It's kind of cozy inside, with this nice view of the surrounding forest. We find a house on the way that still has its lights on. It looks like they were in the middle of making a meal when the Covenant attacked. Chairs strewn about, people having fled when they heard the heavy footfall and the scream of plasma fire. This is a very large bedroom, isn't it? Whoever lived here must have been of some importance, because we can find these sleeping pods in the building next door, likely for farm workers. I wonder if the main dwelling was for the owner of the farm. There's some nets in the next settlement. I suppose this indicates that there are fish of some kind in the river that are good for eating. Or they could be to catch weeds and drifting logs that could clog up the dam. After saving the troops, we're off to the relay to link up with the rest of Noble Team. I love that the instant we land, we can see that we are in a different world. Gone are the homely farming hovels that gave that sense of community, replaced with this megalithic radar and the rigid grey architecture of the UNSC. Our Spartans return to their natural domain. The red and black returning us to that intrigue of the streets of Mombasa. As we fight deeper into the facility, it only becomes more apparent. Reach touches on the military intrigue that permeated ODST, almost bridging the themes between it and the bombastic space operas of the Master Chief. This final room looks like a server farm. We can actually see some coolant keeping their temperature controlled. You can imagine how hot a sci-fi server would get. You can see them steaming as they rise, the Covenant likely trying to scrape all the data they can get. With that, we flip the switch and the mission ends. Winter Contingency is such a great introduction to the world of Reach. From the first instant, we can see it will be a more grounded experience as we go from building to building, seeing how these farmers lived their lives and tended their fields. We get a microcosm of the coming Covenant invasion, barreling into these simple lives, burning all just to get what they want. Thanks for watching. As always, let me know in the comments if there's any particular games or details you'd like me to take a look at. Subscribe for more oddities. We'll be heading back to Skyrim next, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.